Welcome back to the Personal Injury Law Show, viewers. It's that time of the show we've got Anna's mailbag. Good evening, Anna.
Good evening, Tony. Good evening, viewers. Lovely to be here again.
Anna, what do you think of the show?
It's fantastic, Nuns. I really enjoyed the material with Dr. Callis. That was fantastic. And I didn't know the distinction between a cosmetic and a plastic surgeon, so I think that was really informative for viewers.
Anna, you know what really impressed me about his clinic? How serene it was. You know, you go in there, you're all tense and anxious about having surgery, but it was so serene, relaxed, and the actual operating theatre was so clean. You could eat off the floor.
Really?
Yeah, it's just amazing.
It looked like that anyway.
Should we get on to some questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the first one comes from Diane in Preston. Dear PI Show, I am 32 years of age and I underwent a breast reduction procedure in October last year. My surgery scars have not healed properly, are sensitive and still weep at times. I also suffer from a lot of swelling and tenderness. I've spoken to my doctor who keeps telling me to keep an eye on it, but I am not happy. I think something might have gone wrong. Should I go and get a second opinion now? And how long should I wait until I see a lawyer about this? Nuns, do you want to offer?
Well, look, there's a
Diane's
few
information?
issues with this. Firstly, look, if you feel like you need to get a second opinion, I'd definitely go get a second opinion because, look, your medical treatment comes first before any other legal rights.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about the legal obligations and rights, there's two things. Firstly, she's got 3 years to make a claim if there is one. And I'm not sure when this occurred, but you've got 3 years, but you should see a lawyer straight away because you want to know what's happening, what your rights are.
Yeah.
The second issue is, well, whether she does have a case. Now, there's 3 things that I see here that could be an issue. One, was the surgery performed negligently? Secondly, was she advised of the risk beforehand, Tony? And 3, what was the post-operative care like? So I think there's a range of issues here that may have to be, I suppose, investigated, but there's definitely something there I think she may have to worry about.
She's got 3 years or date of discoverability because if she doesn't have a cause of action or she discovers that she's got a cause of action outside the 3 years, then the law gives her a right to pursue it outside that period.
Exactly right. But look, if she's within the 3 years and she sees a lawyer, it's just a lot easier, a lot cleaner.
Okay.
Diane, I think we've given you something to think about there, so hopefully that can resolve with time. The next one comes from Suzanne in Rowville. Dear PI Show, I underwent a lip and eyeliner tattoo treatment recently and has not turned out well. I now have nasty swelling and have had to consult my GP for ongoing treatment. My experience has been terrible. The salon has refused to speak to me properly about it and I have uneven tattooing along my eyes. I am feeling very self-conscious about it. I know the therapist isn't a doctor, but is there anything I can do about this?
Well, again, it's sort of similar to the last one, Tony. I think this particular viewer, has, I suppose, need to investigate, I suppose, what's happened here. Look, it's a common trend with these type of incidents that, something always goes wrong. And look, even though they're not a doctor, there's still a case. It doesn't matter what their qualifications are, and they all have insurance, so it's got no issue with it in that regard.
The only other thing that I'd add is that for loss of income and also medical treatment, you don't have to have 5% under the Wrongs Act.
No, you don't.
But in relation to both matters, if you want to sue for pain and suffering, you need to have a permanent injury which gives you more than 5% disability.
Well, it sounds like with the tattooing, that would be quite a permanent.
Yeah, and also with tattooing, I said it can have a psychological effect, and under the Wrongs Act, if you can get the 10%,
which is generally easier
psychological
than the
threshold, because it's a very subjective test, that also can amount to a claim for pain and suffering. So I think the most important part is to really put these people on notice to make sure that there might be some involvement. So definitely go see a lawyer.
Okay. Suzanne, looks like you need some advice on that, so definitely consult somebody, but good luck with that. The next one is from Jan in Preston. Dear PI Show, I work as a receptionist in an office. We recently moved locations and I was asked to help carry files and heavy office supplies from one premises to the other. It was not a long way, but my back is now really sore and I think I have done some damage. What should I do now? Tony, what advice can you give?
Well, the first thing I'd be doing is telling work that you've injured your back and go and see a doctor. The doctor can assess you, and if you've got problems working, lodge a claim. You'll get your loss of income paid for, and you also get your medical treatment paid for. And then at that stage, you'll see how you go. Hopefully, you'll make a good recovery with the appropriate treatment. And if you don't, then you've got to look at the other avenues that, or the rights that you're entitled to down the track.
Tony, if she just sees a GP and sort of, they say, look, it might get better, would you still put a claim in?
You've got to give notice to the employer because there's some strict provisions under the legislation of notice. And the last thing you want is someone down the track saying it happened at home or it happened outside the work environment. So I think it's important that you do put in a notice with the employer. If it's a minor injury, then I'll consider it a minor claim and I'll get the claim form and won't formally enter it on the system.
Okay.
But it's important that it's done properly.
Is it better to act sooner rather than later with this kind of
I
thing?
think
or do you
so.
wait to see how it...
Well, notifying the employer and seeing the doctor is pretty important because contemporaneous
Notes.
notes and actions speak 1,000 words.
And there's no issue with the fact that it may have happened between premises? It's still included as a
No,
work
it's
cover
still,
matter?
you're on the work site. In fact, this is a major problem that you encounter with most workplaces. You've got people moving stuff all the time, furniture and boxes, and you've just got to be very careful because, you know, we had that flood not long ago where we had to shift premises. We made sure that we just got people to pack things in boxes, but when it come time to actually move the boxes, we engaged professionals to do it because, you know, employers think that lifting boxes is nothing. But there's certain ways you do it. You've got to bend your knees. I mean, you know, recently I did my back, but not bending my knees. So
Is that AJ
it's just-
Tony?
No.
Got to practice what you preach.
Yeah, look, it's amazing how they take a lot for granted. And there's also the strict guidelines under the Accident Compensation Act for risk assessments.
So all the OH&S
Everything kicks in.
provisions, and they're strict, aren't they?
You don't want
They are very
employees
strict.
trying to overdo it in an area that they might not necessarily appreciate. the
Just
risk.
quickly though, Tony, any common law rights down the track?
Only if the injury is serious and permanent. And the definition is pretty difficult to explain at this stage. But
Yep.
obviously, once you've lodged a claim, that protects you in case down the track your back does get worse.
Okay. Viewers, please keep sending your questions in. We really do love receiving them. You can contact us on Facebook, on Twitter, or on our website, which is www.thepishow.com. You can also catch our previous episodes there.
Well, Anna and Nuns, next week we've got part 2 of Dr. Callis's interview.
I'll
and
definitely
also
be tuning
the
in for
experience
that.
at his clinic. So I'm hoping the viewers will stay tuned for that because he's got some interesting things to say about the divide between the plastics and the cosmetic surgeons, and also he looks at the issue of the legislation and how it protects people. There's an ever-increasing number of surgeries these days.
Yeah.
Dr. Callis says they're necessary, and the majority of the public think that a lot of the surgeries are appearance and cosmetic.
And he makes some interesting points about the advertising of cosmetic surgeons and the way they advertise, and that'll be interesting to discuss next week. So,
Viewers,
Stay
please
tuned.
stay tuned. Thanks, Anna. Thanks,
Thank
Nuncio.
Thanks, guys.
Watch next week's episode with Dr. Callis, and in the meantime, please stay safe. Thank you.